What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Tuesday, October 31st, 2023, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 11:56 a.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to give you an update on the situation in the Middle East. But before I do that, I want to share some concerning information coming from the Baltic region of Europe. So we currently have some unusual NATO reconnaissance activity in Poland and the Baltic countries. And what you're looking at here is Forte 11. This is a U.S. RQ-4 Global Hawk intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance drone. And it is currently flying a very dense pattern just south of Kaliningrad in the lakes region of Poland. And this is extremely unusual. Usually, Forte 11 patrols the Black Sea and it flies near Crimea to keep an eye on the Russian Black Sea Fleet and the Russian Navy. And now it's flying in Poland along the border with Kaliningrad. And I cannot stress to you how concerning this is for them to move Forte 11 from the Black Sea to northeastern Poland. Now, if this isn't concerning enough, we also had a U.S. combat Sentinel plane fly through the Baltics and into Finland, and it was doing loops along the border with Russia and Finland near St. Petersburg. Now, why is this concerning? Because the combat Sentinel plane is used for providing intelligence directly to the president and the top generals in the U.S. Okay, there's only two planes like this in the entire U.S. Air Force. They only have two of them. Okay. So if they're sending one of them somewhere, it means something is going on over there. And this is the eighth time that they've sent this plane. Jake 31 is the call sign of this plane. The eighth time they've sent it into the Baltics and into Finland in the last 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. So, in addition to the combat Sentinel plane, we have the RQ-4 airborne, and then also there was a P-8 Poseidon sub-hunter plane off the coast of Kaliningrad. So we have some high priority reconnaissance assets operating in the Baltics and in Poland. So this is extremely concerning, guys. Okay. And like I've said for weeks now, I'm really concerned that Russia may attack the Baltics and possibly Poland, either from Russia proper or from Belarus or from Kaliningrad or a combination of the three. They could go after the Suwalki Gap. They could go after Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. They could even go after Eastern Poland. They could come in from Belarus and try to go right to Warsaw, because Warsaw is not that far from Belarus, and Belarus has tactical nuclear weapons. They have Iskander ballistic missiles. So this could all kick off when the war in the Middle East kicks off. Russia could try to take advantage of the situation in the Middle East, and North Korea could try to take advantage of it and attack South Korea, and China could attack Taiwan. Okay, but this is extremely concerning, guys. Something is brewing here in this area, okay, around Kaliningrad and the Baltic countries. So we need to be on high alert and expect that Russia will attack these countries once the war in the Middle East kicks off. All right, what we're seeing right now so far in the Middle East is just like a warm up. Okay, the main effort, the main event in the Middle East hasn't kicked off yet. Okay, and we have some concerning information coming out of Yemen. Yemen has officially declared war on Israel. I want to read to you what the spokesman for the Yemeni armed forces said today. He said, "We, out of a sense of religious, moral, humanitarian, and national responsibility, and in response to the demands of our Yemeni people and the demands of free peoples, and to come to the rescue of our oppressed people in Gaza, it was necessary for the Yemeni armed forces to carry out their duty by relying on God and in victory over the historical oppression of the dear Palestinian people. With the help of God Almighty, our armed forces launched a large batch of ballistic and winged missiles at targets of the Israeli army in occupied Palestine, and this is the third operation. Until Israel's aggression is stopped, we will continue to carry out more high quality attacks with missiles and drones. We emphasize that this operation is the third operation in support of our oppressed brothers in Palestine. Okay, so that's very concerning. They're launching long range ballistic missiles from Yemen, and my guess is they were given those long range missiles from Iran. So Yemen is launching long range missiles now, and Israeli media is reporting that the first medium range ballistic missile was launched at Israel today in the country's history. Okay, so no medium range missile has ever been launched at Israel, ever. Okay, medium range ballistic missile. So, very concerning news, guys. And the Israeli army said that they intercepted this medium range ballistic missile that was coming from the Red Sea direction using a long range Hetz 3 missile defense system, which has a range of 2,400 kilometers and can intercept 5 missiles in 30 seconds. All right, so Yemen launched a medium range ballistic missile, the first time in Israel's history that they've ever had one of those launched at them. And they intercepted it with a Hetz 3 missile defense. And the Yemen armed forces declaring war on Israel. And today we had several rocket impacts in the city of Tel Aviv. And what's interesting is that they were not intercepted. So that's pretty concerning. It could mean that Israel's Iron Dome is getting depleted. The Yemen Houthi rebels officially declared war on Israel, and the Iranian backed Houthi rebels in Yemen claimed responsibility for a series of attacks against southern Israel. Yahya Sariyah, a spokesman for the group, says that the aerial assault, comprising drones as well as ballistic and cruise missiles, was carried out of a sense of religious, moral, humanitarian, and national responsibility for the people of Gaza in the face of the weakness of the Arab world and of the collusion of some Arab countries with Israel. All right, so the Yemen military and also the Houthis both declaring war on Israel, both launching drones and missiles at Israel today. A Houthi spokesman said, "Soon we will show that the weapons of Yemen are superior to the weapons of Israel." And Israeli Channel 14 said other countries shot down a number of targets coming from Yemen today, while the Israeli army shot down some of them using electronic warfare systems. So maybe Egypt or maybe Saudi Arabia intercepted some missiles. Probably the Saudis. They have a bunch of Patriot missiles. But it wasn't just ballistic missiles that were fired at Israel. It was cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, drones. It was a combination. And so that was a pretty large attack, it sounds like. An Israeli security official said that we are also studying ways to respond to the Houthis after they launched missiles towards southern Israel today. And moments ago, there was an attack order issued by the commander of the southern region of the Israeli ground forces operating in the Gaza Strip. And the Israeli army reports fierce fighting between ground forces and Hamas fighters deep inside the Gaza Strip. And the IDF press service is saying that the Israeli army began a battle with Hamas in the underground tunnels. So basically, the Israeli army is going in full force now, and apparently they've entered some of these tunnels now. The head of the general staff of the Iranian armed forces, Mohammad Bagheri, said that in the northern part of Gaza alone, there are over 400 kilometers of underground tunnels, and motorcycles and cars can pass through them. The Israeli Air Force carried out more airstrikes today in the Gaza Strip, and the Lebanese prime minister said that Lebanon is doing its best to avoid entering the war. And the Lebanese general intelligence chief, Abbas Ibrahim, and senior Hamas delegation led by Ali Bracha met to discuss Gaza developments and readiness against Israel in Beirut. Okay, so that is pretty concerning. The chief of Hezbollah, Nasrallah, said, "We will respond to Tel Aviv at the appropriate time." And Nasrallah is supposed to be giving some kind of a speech this Friday, which many people believe will be an official declaration of war. This will be Friday at 3 p.m. local time, I believe. Iranian Foreign Minister Abdullahian, the crazy guy, said, "We have information that the American forces in Israel are not advisory, but rather participating in the theater of war." Major General Rashid, commander of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, said that they have information that confirms that U.S. Central Command officers are in Tel Aviv. The Egyptian army is on high alert. And the Prime Minister of Egypt said, "We are ready to sacrifice millions of lives so that no one comes close to our lands. We will not allow regional issues to be resolved at Egypt's expense." And an Egyptian official said, "We will never allow any situation to be imposed on us." So, what I think that means is Egypt doesn't want to take in all the Palestinians that Israel's going to push out of Gaza. That's what I think, but I could be wrong. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister of the UK, are supposed to talk by phone today at 5 p.m. Israeli time. And Gilad Erdan, the Israeli ambassador to the UN, criticized the UN Security Council on Monday for continuing to not condemn Hamas for its October 7 attacks on Israel. The Czech Republic may withdraw unilaterally from the UN due to the conflict between Israel and the Hamas group. Czech Defense Minister Jana Černochová believes the country should withdraw from the UN because of a General Assembly resolution that calls for a truce between Israel and Hamas, but does not condemn Hamas's attack on Israel. The name Israel has been removed from online maps of leading Chinese companies Alibaba and Baidu, and this was reported by the Wall Street Journal. Another U.S. base was hit by Iranian militants. Apparently, a rocket of the Islamic Resistance of Iraq hit the U.S. base in the Omar oil field located in Deir Azor province. That's in eastern Syria. So another U.S. base attacked overnight. And apparently, an Israeli airstrike damaged a Turkish cancer hospital in Gaza. And this was the Turkish Palestinian Friendship Hospital. So we'll have to see what Turkey does in response. Nobody was injured. There was some damage to oxygen and water supplies at the hospital, but nobody was injured. So this could potentially motivate Turkey to get involved, which would be biblical. If Turkey does get involved, that would be biblical. And Iraqi sources are claiming that unknown aircraft have struck a position used by Iranian-backed groups on the border with Iraq and Syria. This is the second round of airstrikes which have been reported in the area within the last 24 hours. So probably U.S. or some NATO forces, maybe British fighter jets. And Israeli aircraft have been noted flying over southern Lebanon at low altitude in the last 12 hours. Missiles were fired by Hezbollah terrorists at two IDF positions on the northern border, the Israeli Defense Forces say. Separately, the army says it carried out a strike against a terror cell in southern Lebanon, preparing to carry out an anti-tank guided missile attack against northern Israel. The military does not report any casualties in the missile attacks. Earlier, two rockets were also fired at northern Israel, setting off sirens in the northern town of Metula. The IDF says both projectiles landed short in Lebanon. It adds that troops are responding with artillery shelling at the sources of the rocket and missile fire. And Hezbollah is claiming that they hit an Israeli army observation post in the Al-Marj region of Israel. And Putin said that the anti-Semitic mob that stormed an airport in Dagestan, Russia, searching for Jewish passengers was a Western intelligence operation. So Putin has just totally lost his mind. And we have some concerning information coming out of Colorado. Apparently, a heavily armed man was planning to carry out some type of a shooting incident at the Mountaintop Amusement Park at Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park in Colorado, and he killed himself before carrying out the plan, according to authorities. And he was 20 years old, and he had an AR style rifle, a handgun, and explosives. So I'm just wondering if that was a sleeper cell of some kind. And the U.S. is planning a test of the Minuteman III ICBM yet again, just a day after they announced that they're going to be building a new tactical nuclear gravity bomb, the B 61 Mod 13, which is going to have a 360 kiloton blast yield, okay? And it's also going to have extreme accuracy. It's going to have a special steering system or guidance system, whatever you want to call it. It's going to have the same guidance system and steering system as the B 61 Mod 12, but it's going to have the same blast yield as some of the earlier versions of the B 61. But they set up a NOTAM for today. You can see this NOTAM here. So they're going to fire this thing out of Vandenberg. And it's going to be interesting to see if it has 3 reentry vehicles on it again, like last time, because last time they did this test, it had 3 reentry vehicles, which was clearly a signal to Russia that we are rearming our nuclear forces. Because during the START treaty under Obama, we removed 2 warheads from each of our 400 Minuteman III ICBMs, so they would only have 1 warhead per each missile. And so now it appears that we're rearming them to what they were before Obama, which is 3 reentry vehicles, 3 warheads per missile. So that's 1,200 warheads, okay? 400 missiles with 3 warheads on each one, ready to deploy within seconds, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So very, very concerning news here, okay? Russia and the U.S. are in the middle of a new arms race. Russia is going to be pulling out of the nuclear test ban treaty, which is going to allow them to test nuclear warheads in the atmosphere and underwater. And we still have a massive amount of U.S. military transport planes, cargo planes going into the Middle East. Look at this, guys. I mean, over 50 C 17s in the last 24 hours going into the Middle East. That's very, very concerning. So we've never seen a buildup like this before in the Middle East. And we've never seen a buildup like this before in the Mediterranean. Okay, this is historic. There's over 70 warships in the Mediterranean right now. This has not been seen since probably World War II. Okay, so it's going to get really serious really soon. All right. And it looks like Israel is intensifying their ground operation today. So get prepared, guys. Things are continuing to escalate, and it's only going to get worse from here on out. Make sure you have a nuclear war survival plan, which should be centered around a fallout shelter. Make sure you have a self-defense tool and you're carrying it with you 24/7 anywhere you go, as long as it's legal to do so. Make sure you know where your exits are wherever you go. Make sure you know where cover and concealment is wherever you go. And other than that, I'll keep you guys posted. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're getting notifications. Hit the bell icon below this video so you get notified when I post these emergency updates. I will be doing another update later on this afternoon and probably another one later on tonight, because there's just so much news coming in. But I am expecting within the next few days all hell to break loose in the Middle East. I think we're going to see multiple countries getting involved in the coming days. I think Hezbollah is going to get involved. Yemen already declared today that they're getting involved, and we're going to see just chaos. So pray for Israel, guys. Okay, pray for the Israeli people. They're surrounded by all these countries. Israel is so small, And you look at all the countries that are around them, they have so much land, but they still want to take that little piece of land called Israel. They still want to take it over. So pray for Israel, pray for the Israeli people, and may God bless Benjamin Netanyahu. Take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.